it's Jenny with Craft&Vinyl Studio. I just wanted to say thank you so much for purchasing one of our craft kits. I just wanted to take a couple minutes and help you out with a few tips and helpful hints to complete your Hanging with My Peeps sign. The finished product will look similar to this. So when you come pick up your kit or have it delivered, it's going to come in 2 bags like this. The first bag is going to have your stencil, your vinyl stencil, and a piece of wood, and your paintbrush. The other bag is going to have some glue and paint and some other little things that we'll talk about here in a second. So glue we can put off to the side. We're going to get all your colored paints for your peeps and your words. You're going to get 3 sponge applicators to apply the paint to your peeps and to your words in the stencil. White paint for the background, sandpaper, and last but not least, a Q-tip. So the first thing that you'll want to do is paint your background. So you'll want to look at both sides of your wood. There's one side that might be a little more rough and one side that might be a little more smooth. I would suggest painting on the smoother side. You can just open up your paint tub, and one little trick is to go with the grain of the wood. It'll just help a little bit, go on a little bit smoother. So just paint, you want to paint a really thin coats. You don't want to get it too thick. If it's too thick, it might interfere with the stencil and it won't adhere as well, and it might bleed through on the words. So you just want to paint one thin coat. Start off with one, and then you can always go back and add another. So I finished my first coat. I sat and let it dry for probably 5 or 10 minutes. And I want to add another coat just to make it fully white. It's up to you and your personal preference. But if you are going to do 2 coats, I recommend that you take your sandpaper and go with the grain and just do a really light sanding in between your coats. So give it a nice little sanding. You'll feel how much smoother it feels. You'll want to blow off the dust and kind of wipe it off with a paper towel. And then it's ready for the second coat. So I have painted a second coat, and to help the drying process go by a little faster, I used a blow dryer just to make sure that my paint is nice and dry, so that the stencil doesn't peel up any paint that still might be wet. Even if it feels dry to the touch, just make sure it's plenty dry, or else the stencil might peel up the paint. So after that second coat, I'm just gonna do another quick little sanding. Wipe off any dust with the paper towel, and we are ready for the stencil. So here is our stencil. As you can see, there's a clear sheet over it. It's called transfer tape. And what you want to do first is take any kind of credit card or squeegee, or even a popsicle stick will work, and go over it just a little bit to make sure it's fully stuck to the transfer tape. Then you're going to peel a corner. What you want is for the blue background to come off, and you're going to be left with that vinyl stencil. You want to square it up with your piece of wood, lay it down, press it flat, and then again you're going to take that card, popsicle stick, or squeegee and push it down. You can even take your finger and go along the words. That's where we really don't want it to be bubbling up, or else the paint will leak out. So after you've done that, you can take the transfer tape and peel it off. If anything does happen to stick to the transfer tape, like say for instance the middle of that G stuck. You just want to kind of push it back down, push it with your finger, and then it should stick. Oh, let's see. See, that just happened to mine right there. Oh, see, for example, I don't know if you can see that, but a little part of the S just came up with the transfer tape, which happens sometimes. So I'm just gonna push it down again, and then be really careful with that part when I peel it. There you go, and now it's stuck. All right. There you go. Okay, so now you have your stencil on your board, and you might want to take your fingers and just kind of double check nothing is up. That will allow that paint to seep through. There you go. Okay, so to paint the letters, you're just going to open up your little paint pot, and you can actually use the lid to help you with this. You're going to take the flat end of your sponge and just barely dip it in there so you get a little bit of paint. Then you can take your lid and kind of dab it off onto the lid so you don't have a bunch of paint globbing on there. And then you're just going to dab up and down over your words like that. So you're just going to continue that process until you have gone over all of your words. Just make sure you don't go too thick. If you might need to do a couple coats like this. After this one dries, just take a look and see if you see anything that looks like it needs some more paint, and then you can do it again. It's better to do 2 thin coats than 1 really thick coat. It will help the paint be more crisp when you peel your stencil off if you keep your layers nice and thin. So I finished all of my painting of my letters, and you do not really have to wait for the paint to dry. You can if you want to, but you don't have to. So when you are ready, you are just going to take a corner and peel up. Now, if the vinyl is getting stuck in any of the corners of the letters, you can just take a thumbtack or a safety pin or something like that and kind of help lift it up like that. It's also okay to peel it in different sections, so I just broke that off just so there's not a lot of extra vinyl hanging there. I'm going to go from this angle now. All right, now you'll notice that the middle of the letters, the vinyl still is stuck there. So again, if you just take a safety pin or a push pin, thumbtack or something like that to give a gentle little poke. Don't poke too hard or you might see it might show in the paint, but just kind of lift it up a little bit. And there you go. So I've removed all of the vinyl and I'm left with my sign. I'm going to move that off to the side for a few minutes to let it finish drying, and we're going to move on to the bunnies. So you should have 5 little Peep bunnies in your kit, and you'll notice that on the bunnies there's one side that has there might be some burn marks from the laser cutter. That's going to be the back side. And then there's the front side that looks nice and clean. So we're going to use the nice and clean side to paint. And this is the easiest thing ever. So you're just going to take your foam brush, foam applicator, and just like we did with the letters on the sign, you're going to put a little bit of paint on the bottom. You can dab it off on the lid, or if you have another plate or something like that, and you're just going to gently pat your bunny and give it some color. So again, thin coats are best. I do not, you can paint the sides if you want to, but I don't paint the sides when I'm painting wood, and it looks good. It looks nice and crisp and clear when it's not on the sides. It does get to be a little bit tricky to paint those sides without a big mess. So if you just dab up and down on top of that bunny, and that's easy as pie. Now, there are only 3 sponge applicators, and there are 5 bunnies and then the words. So you can either rinse out and dry your applicators, or you can even just take a scissors and just cut off the bottom part, and then you're ready to paint the next one. You have a fresh, clean surface for painting. So you'll paint all 5 bunnies, and then we will finish up our project. After your Peeps are dry, you can use the glue and the Q-tip to just put some glue on the back of each Peep. Now you don't want to get it too thick or else it'll squirt out the sides. So this wood glue actually sticks really well. So, and then you can place it wherever you would like it to go. And there you go. You just keep on gluing in whatever order you'd like. And that is all there is to it. So you'll see that you have quite a bit of paint left in the colored pot. So you could, I didn't paint the sides of the sign, but you could paint the sides another color or get creative and do whatever you like. So we hope you have so much fun. Thank you so much for listening, and happy crafting.